This is the time in the stream of the Saturday Night Live Holiday Edition where we bring in a guest. And this guest is our new segment, live remote. He's calling in remotely to provide us with the news of the day. One of my favorite Gen Z millennials, Ballietbran. Welcome to the stream, dude. So great to have you, man.
Hey, thanks, guys. Nice to see you, Matt and Brandon. Another Brandon.
Yeah,
I really like this show. The last week was really awesome, and you said that you didn't know if the stream was like too long or anything, but I agree. There's no such thing as too long of a live stream when when it's that fun and entertaining. So that was awesome.
Dude, nice shirt, man. You got the biceps on that.
It actually says like Hex Flex. I actually got this from I got this from let's see. So Tony Salazar, T Money with freedomtv.info.
Yeah.
Him and I were doing the Seattle the Seattle interview for the little conference thing that they were doing. And he just asked me for my address and gave me 2 shirts, which I thought was really cool because so much Hex merch looks really good.
Dude, you're looking fit too. You've been taking the advice of that t-shirt, man. You're looking good.
Yeah, well, one day at a time, just trying to control what I can and stuff, but I appreciate it. It's something just like with investing or anything that if you delay that gratification and put in the work today, you'll receive
I heard someone say that this idea of what you do each day, and he said he did 5 things every day. He's like, I read, I write, I call someone and encourage them. He's like, I pray, I do, these things he does. And he talks about it like chopping down wood. He said, what if you had a hatchet and there was a tree in your yard that you wanted to be knocked down? He said, each day you just took one chop. Literally, you just swung the axe one time every day. At some point in time, that tree's going to fall down. And I agree with you. I think that's the consistency piece of it, and just going, this future. And I just, we talk about you a lot, Brandon. I really was talking with Hex. So everybody's a big fan of yours, and we just see you as the future, man. And I'm just excited. And I loved our interview, and I just love seeing you everywhere. And the fact that you're everywhere. It's awesome. So,
well, and let's talk about you're everywhere. So how many virtual assistants do you employ?
I saw you guys joking about that last time. I wish that I had some, it would, separate a lot of free time, but no, I mean, the community is what really makes this. And it's not just what Richard has kind of built and created with the game theory, but yeah, I mean, your interview with Hexologist, I thought that was awesome. And it's always cool to hear people's backstories, right? Because we're all very similar and, have unique stories. But yeah, the community is kind of what makes it. And, I heard you mention kind of a little bit of news and things like that. And I mean, honestly, the biggest thing, it's cool that PulseChain version 2 testnet is out. Yeah. But I'm really excited for PulseX. And the thing that's actually unique is, Richard probably thought of this when he was coming up with the name, but sounds very similar to something that people already know, SpaceX, right? Like iconic figure Elon. Yeah. And whether people like him or not, that's not what matters. But I thought that was really cool. And what Brandon mentioned too, with the the other side of the liquidity pair that people are getting and going to have like a incentive to actually put it there, I think is really cool and will be kind of like a vampire attack or just a better product for people to maybe switch their liquidity to.
Yeah. Well, every time we do this, we need to pump our bags. And if there's anyone to help us pump our bags the best, it's Ballietbran. So I keep telling the story from our interview that I was talking to you, and you're like, yeah, like when you put $100 down and it turns into $1 million, or $1,000 and it turns into 10 million. And I tell people that, here I'm talking to a 25-year-old guy who's retired, and I'm like, okay, this is a big deal. What are your thoughts on the PulseChain and the price prediction? I want to hear it directly from Ballietbran.
Well, same thing that I said in the interview, that I think, Ethereum did its 10,000x in about 2.5 years. Hex did its 10,000x in under 2.5 years. in under 2 years, which was absolutely awesome. But I don't see why PulseChain couldn't do the same thing. I mean, when it comes to the game theory and the tokenomics that Richard implements, it's nothing that anyone in crypto has ever seen before. And when you look at the momentum in the other chat rooms, right? People feel that they lost out on Hex, and they feel that they lost out on some of these gains, and they don't want to do the same thing with PulseChain. And it's crazy because it hasn't even launched yet. And so I think kind of what we have with the momentum, people not wanting to make the same mistake that they did with Hex, even though I think it's still early there. I think that, yeah, we could see a lot of these gains that we've seen in the past with Hex.
That's amazing. What do you think, Brandon?
Dude, I'm on the same boat. I'm in the same boat, rather. I've crunched the numbers left and right, up and down. And here's, I talk about this. You've got, first and foremost, you got the community. That's one of the 4 pillars. Secondly, you've got the spotlight. A lot of people know about this now. And if they don't know about it now, they sure as hell are going to know about it within 3 to 6 months. When people find out, they just have to change a setting in their MetaMask and pop, they got money that they didn't know they had the entire time. Okay. So you've got the community, you've got the spotlight, you got the social media, which is going to be huge too. And I like the fact that Richard Hart was tweeting about contacting people from other chains, you know, and that's some of the content that I've done recently was based on that. As an influencer and having my message out there, it's important that I use it very efficiently and very targeted. So it would even be nice as influencers if all of us were able to get together and say, hey, let's go ahead and push a video targeted at Link Marines, for example. Maybe in the same week, we have 10 or 15 videos that go out. That's going to make an impact on that algorithm. YouTube's going to pick that up. They're going to see there's a reason for this, and they'll bring people into our, you know, into our ecosystem. And the last thing that's very, very important in terms of the 4 pillars is having a founder that has a track record of success.
Yeah.
And that's huge because that's going to instill confidence in the marketplace at large when they start researching and learning about this. Those 4 boxes are checked. Everything is ready. We're going to have the infrastructure in place. We're going to be able to take economic energy from Ethereum. We're going to be able to transfer that over into PulseChain via bridge, etc. We're going to have those copies. I mean, it's awesome. It's ready. It's ready, dude.
That's awesome. All right, I want to do something special tonight because Ballietbran's here. If everyone in the chat would share on Twitter this link, I want to break some records tonight. Last time we talked about we were going to get off when there were 50 people. We've got 87 here. I know there's more people sitting around that need to know about this and have a good time with us. We got some great information here. And so I'm going to encourage everybody to share this stream with Twitter, share it in your Telegram, encourage people to come on in. This is going to be an awesome night. I'm not leaving until Brandon passes out. So let's get ready for all of this excitement tonight. So Ballietbran, you are a man who is everywhere. I feel like everywhere I go, anytime I do anything, I see comments from you. What do you do during the day besides, you know, encourage people on streams and support people? What's your day look like?
Yeah, I mean, lately it's kind of, you know, been what we were talking a little bit earlier, just trying to, you know, get healthy again and kind of lose some of the other, the excess stuff. But aside from that, I mean, you know, constantly trying to educate myself and look at maybe other things that, you know, might be able to continue providing value aside from just, you know, what the videos and the streams are. Stuff like that doesn't really come overnight, but I think that there is so much opportunity in the space and so many people that kind of have things that they're really good at. You mentioned things like the, you know, that you make knives, which I thought was really cool.
Yeah.
Like, dude, that's really awesome. And so kind of just, you know, thinking and kind of crafting what other things that I can kind of do to, provide more value and add extra resources for the community, while also like listening to everyone else, because there's so much stuff that's going on all the time that it is hard to keep up with. And even if you're listening to the content 24/7, you can't keep up with all of it. So kind of just trying to organize life, spend time with family and friends and things like that, because that's obviously important to me as well. But then thinking about how to keep giving back and keep adding value.
Yeah, well, let me ask you the question, because you got this other channel, which is a sci-vive channel, and Richard's obviously written self-help. Give me break us off a little piece here and let us know, what are some of the big themes that you feel like are really valuable from the sci-vive content? Like, what are you getting from it? What do you think people ought to, like, give us a little teaser of what's in that content for people who don't know what Richard has shared, because there's some good stuff in there.
Yeah, that's a really good question. And honestly, I haven't read the whole book or anything. I know that there is an audio book. Some of it's converted on YouTube here. But I mean, I think a lot of the book itself, I mean, so he's got two books. He's got Sci-Vive, and then he's got the Fix the World book, which is kind of like more politics and how to make some of the systems a little bit better. But I mean, kind of just the overall theme of it is self-help. I mean, there's so many different chapters, right? It's not a book that you read just like left to right, like people would do with other things. But whether it's like your mental health in psychology, whether it's your physical health, like different things that you can kind of do to maximize with what you're working with. I think a lot of it, if people, because at the end of the day, people usually know what they're doing wrong and like usually know what they could do at least to improve in certain areas. But the book itself kind of just gives people actionable information, I would say, that lets people improve their lives if they choose to.
So I don't mean to change abruptly the topic. We'll come back to this, Ballietbran, but there was a question that was asked on whether or not there's any out the front knives that are made. And so Be Bullish was just asking. I didn't make this knife, but he was asking. I literally had it in my pocket. So that was my Hex Flex.
Dude, you are literally a sociopath. You're a psychopath.
What's so amazing to me is this. I drive a Jeep. I've got a lifted Jeep, which is pretty awesome. But I'll tell you, that action is so nice. So there you go, Be Bullish. That's what you get.
That's a good sound.
That's so creepy, man. Oh my gosh.
You
keep validating.
Dude, hold on. Here's the funny part about it. This is why I do these streams, because you guys think I'm drinking Metamucil at night, and really I'm just cutting people up, man.
Dude, I know, man. You do, man. Gosh. That wasn't your kid. That was one of your victims being forced to dress up in a damn bear costume.
We keep him in the basement. We got 100 people on, folks. You guys are following directions so well. That's so awesome. Well, yeah, so making the knives is one thing, but let's talk about this, Ballietbran. I just I love it when people are trying to work on themselves, right? And to me, the content that I want to create, and I just love that Richard's done self-help stuff. I'm really fascinated with this idea of what separates us from the animals is the fact that we can control our mind. My dog, when I come out, is all so happy to see me and wants food. And, we think of the instinctual nature of the animal kingdom, and then we think about people, right? And I was talking to Sandra Larson about quantum stuff, and there's so much we don't know about the creation and the world. And there's some, really interesting mysteries out there. But one of the things that I think we all can relate to is the fact that we have the ability to control our mind, right? We have the ability to renew it. We have the ability to train it. And it's just like anything, our bodies, our minds, all of this stuff. And, the origins of self-help, this idea of I could make a decision. And so just as a teaser, I've made a decision that in the future, one day I will interview Richard Hart. And I don't care when it happens, but it's going to happen, period. End of sentence. And I've made that a definitive thing that I'm going to do. And so I'm going to work my way up. And so yesterday with Hexo, I said, hey, you're the king of hearts, man, in my deck of cards. And Richard Hart is the ace of hearts. And it's going to happen at some point in time. And you have to have a definitive decision that you make in your mind. And that's not the pinnacle, right? Richard Hart's just a man. But to me, this idea that you can make a decision when you wake up in the morning, you can make a decision and you can keep on making that decision. And that's the thing that separates us from the animals. And we've got something that is special that literally can make the difference in our lives. And all these choices we make, I literally went out to the corner store and I was going to get some White Claw because Brandon was going to make fun of me, but I had to go with the seltzer tonight. And a guy was getting $2 of gasoline. Okay. And $2 of gasoline right now is less than a gallon. And I just heard him ask, hey, I need $2 on number 8. And I just thought about that for a second. And it made me think of the decisions that we make in our lives. Right. And then I think about Brandon doing this fundraising for this guy and helping him out. And I think about this world that, knowledge and information and all the stuff that we're so fortunate to have this opportunity to see. Richard Hart has made a decision to fix money, and he has, and he's keeping on giving. And this is a revolution that we get to be a part of. And I wake up every morning early going, this is the most exciting time to be alive. And we're going to see some of the greatest things happening in this world. And I just want to encourage everybody that you have to be disciplined. I'm speaking to myself because I'm one of the least disciplined people, but we have this ability to control our minds, and whatever you decide, that's according, in my opinion, to God's will in your life is possible. And I'll tell you, when you mix that with sitting in front of a guy pulling out stacks of hundreds and slapping it on the table and making it rain with his daughter, you're seeing something really, really special. And this is a short time. I had a buddy who got stage 4 colon cancer and died. He was one of my closest friends. And I just watched him perish. And he was 52. And I think about my own life. I'm coming up on 50 myself. And I just go, this is short. This is a short life that we have. Let's make the most of it. And the fact that we can exist right now, my dad worked all his life and doesn't have a whole lot to show for it. And here we have the future in front of us. And I look at Ballietbran and I'm like, dude, you are the future, man. And it's so exciting to think that we've got leaders who understand what decentralization looks like, know what freedom and sovereignty looks like. And I'm bullish on the future. Brandon, what about you?
Dude, how the hell am I supposed to follow that up, dude?
Yeah, I'm just on fire. Well, why don't you say thank you to Far Out Aliens for the 55-55?
While you didn't give yourself a chance to breathe, in chat, I thanked him. Far Out Aliens, let me tell you something about this guy. I don't know who he is, where he's from. He's probably a hooligan like everybody else, but he's been donating a lot of money lately. So I want to say this, dude, thank you so much, man. It means a lot. Yeah. A lot. 5555, it does not go unnoticed. Thank you.
So the question is, I want to know the alien story. I want to know, that's what's so funny. I'm so curious about people's stories. And, you think about this, Ballietbran, right? I'm like, hey, why do you call yourself Ballietbran? He's like, well, it's my name. And I'm like, hey, Brandon, why do you call yourself Ragstoriches? And here's a guy who's named Far Out Aliens. I want to know that story. I want to know why in the world do you call yourself that and put a little alien creature on there? So I'm just Matt, curious.
Just get your people to contact his people, and you can stream with him at Tuesday at 6 a.m.
I'll have my bear.
You got 5 meetings that day, but you'll be good.
I'll have my little elves do it for you. Oh my gosh, that's so great. So thank you, Far Out Aliens. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, man.
All right, let's see here. You're definitely right. The community is kind of what makes this, and it's been so cool to see, not scarcity, but like abundance mentality. So it's awesome to see the people within the community kind of supporting each other, but then also branching outwards. And I think what Brandon was doing with the thing for the father and his daughter, I thought that was really cool. And to also hear him on the phone the other day was really awesome too. So, changing other people's lives one day at a time.
Yeah. Well, I just imagine what it's like to be that guy thinking he's doing a music video and Brandon comes in with his glasses and a Santa suit on. He's like, I mean, I don't know if you've ever, seen that kind of money. I had to draw some money out one time and $7,600 in 20s is a lot of money, dude.
Yeah. I want to say this too, Matt. Like I'm processing what you said before while you were talking for 13 minutes straight. And the thing that I wanted to point out, man, it's like if you've ever been involved in sports or athletics, you got to create a culture, right? You have to set the tone at the beginning.
Yep.
And what people may or may not realize is we in the community right now, we are setting the tone for the future people that will be involved. So that's going to be that. I think everything that you said can be kind of summed up in that way. We're setting the example. What did you say earlier? You said people who give have to be leaders or something to that effect.
Yeah.
So that's leadership is it's a communicable thing, whether it's good or bad. And I think it's going to be very contagious as we onboard more and more people. And what a lot of people don't realize is we're about to explode.
Oh yeah.
In terms of membership, right?
Yep.
In terms of the amount of people that are going to be consuming the content and interacting with other people in the community. So this is such a perfect time to set the tone and set the standard. We got to set a standard as a community. We got to hold to it, you know?
Yep. You know, it's so funny. David saying, yeah, Matt does talk a lot. I was thinking about this for a second. This is my stream, you piece of beep.
Matt, go ahead and cuss. It's like if Matt cusses, it's like wiping.
No, I'm joking. Right? I love David. I love David. It's so great. You know what's funny is, you know, when I do a stream by myself and I don't have Rags to Riches here, everyone's so nice, and then I bring you in, and these people give me all kinds of crap, dude.
Well, just point out to David that he has no friends, so that's why he's here.
Well, he did mention that. He did mention that previously. No, I love him. You know what? You talk about leadership. I mean, it's so important that people are leading out. And so when I was talking to Hexo yesterday, I mean, he doesn't realize he's just such a good guy. And you know, I was reflecting on that interview, going, a guy like that who decided, you know, in the early days, I mean, it's easy for us, right? There's 108 people on this stream. When he was doing, there's probably a handful, and he was willing to do it for 572 days. I mean, the fact that he's willing to do that, I mean, that's real commitment. And he shaped things. And I don't know if you guys watch him. I used to watch him every day during COVID lockdown. And you know, he wasn't the guy that, like, if you put something rude in the chat, he wasn't like being mean to you. He was just laughing it off and welcoming you. And I think that that's one of the things that's so cool about this community is everybody is welcome. I don't care who you are. I don't care what age you are. I don't care what race you are. I don't care where you come from. You're welcome here. And I'm excited that there's a lot of people who hopefully will take that leadership of Hexo, and as this community grows tremendously, that we become a force for good. Because, you know, it's funny, I don't know if Ballietbran said this before, but we're gonna have many billionaires within this community. I mean, we don't have to rely on guys like Elon Musk. We're gonna do it ourselves. We're gonna make the difference.
And think about just humanity as a whole. When you're not tied down financially, that really allows you to unlock your potential creatively.
Yeah.
It removes a barrier in your brain because you're in survival mode otherwise. And that's what I like. That's what I like about cryptocurrency, generally speaking. And that's what I like about this community. If people play the game right, if people delay their gratification, do the right things, it's going to be a massive impact on society, and people don't understand the complexity of how important that impact's going to be for many different people. So, gosh, man, financial freedom is such a big thing. Think about all the folks who are $200,000 or $300,000 in debt right now because they decided to be full-time students for pretty much the first 25 years or 30 years of their life. You know, and that's the only badge of honor that they can hang, but they're miserable. They go to school, they teach kids that probably don't even like them. They're disrespectful, this and that. And then they go home, and then at the end of every month, they got to pay that huge student loan. And the fact that they have to owe somebody that, you know, there's a master and a slave mentality.
Yep.
no matter what you're doing. If you owe somebody money, it really hurts. So cryptocurrency can really solve so many problems and unleash massive amounts of creativity and liberty across the world, everywhere.
Yeah. Ballietbran, you're a guy who's, you know, you're 25, right? Am I right in that?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. You're 25 years old. You're retired. Do you ever tell anybody you're retired when you meet them? You're like, yeah, I'm retired. Or do you kind of hold that back?
Not really. I mean, if something's relevant, then
Yeah.
then I'll bring it up, you know. But other than that, I don't know. Most people, I mean, yeah, unless they ask, they probably don't care.
Yeah.
So,
Val,
yeah, kind of just
he's at Target every night at like 6 o'clock when all the single moms are like shopping, and he's like, "Yeah, I'm retired. What's up?"
The kooks. The kooks. There's
Tinder,
probably,
Tinder. His Tinder profile is like retired. That's all I gotta say.
yeah, it says hashtag crypto retired.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's great. Yeah, he's got definitely the cougs are out. Well, you know, Brandon, it's cool. I think you're the best, and it's so cool to have you in the stream. And one of the things I'd love for you to share is you know, what your thoughts are for people who, you know, you've gone through a cycle, right? I haven't gone through that cycle. I got in 10 days before big payday. I didn't get in. I didn't listen to Richard in 2017. I wasn't following all that. I'm not an OG HEXICAN. I'm betting the farm on PulseChain, but you've gone through a cycle of this. What do people have to expect? Give us a feel for what it's like.
Well, I would say that it is a huge roller coaster. I mean, whether it's cryptocurrency or anything else in life, you know, it's never like stagnation in one area, whether it's like good or it's bad. As far as the actual like candles of the price moving up and down, I think that can be like a little bit of a emotional roller coaster, especially like you mentioned. Same thing for me, having all the eggs in the right basket. But yeah, you know, most people aren't used to seeing their portfolio, drop 86%, things like that. And I think that what people kind of have to expect is that, the time in the market is, at least with the right products and the right investments, tend to outweigh any other investment that the world has ever seen. As far as the community goes, I would really recommend people people like yourself. It's awesome to see the integration with all of the other community members. And I think that the more people kind of engage with the community, and if there's anything that they feel passionate about making themselves, then they should do so. But yeah, I would say that it's a hell of a ride, you know, and it's awesome being on Team Win, because anything that I've seen Richard do, someone had kind of mentioned that he's very articulate in the way that he sets up something, and he calls himself. Someone had asked, they said like, "Oh, it was kinetics," but he said, "What do your parents think of you?" And he's like, "Well, they're used to me winning because I've been like a serial winner since I was 24." And I just thought that was so cool, because it goes to show you that you can do things the right way without taking advantage of people, and you can build products that people will just give their money to you, as opposed to trying to scheme people out of it.
Wow. No, that's fantastic. So let me ask you this. I mean, it's a question everybody wants to know. Do you have any hex flexes?
I don't. I would just say, aside from the retirement thing, that's the only one. Same thing. You know, I kind of like to not point, like when you mentioned like the sequim, or however you mentioned jacket. I try. I don't know. I don't know how I like the feeling of like all eyes on me type of deal. But at least as far as the hex flex goes, I mean, I don't know. Just I think it's cool to be able to help out my parents or some friends and family whenever / if ever they need. I think that's the coolest thing. And then also kind of as you do, and same thing with Brandon, just kind of giving back and kind of paying it forward for the attribution for the success that you had. I think being able to pass that on to people is really profound.
Dude, you know what I see? I see the next Richard Hart in you. I really do. I think about the things that'll come. You know, we got the metaverse coming. We've got all kinds of innovations, and here you are, a student of that, and you're grounded well. You've got the resources. I'm just excited to follow your career. To be honest with you, I think you're going to do amazing things. You know, it's interesting though. You don't want all eyes on you, but Brandon from Rags to Riches wants all eyes on him.
Do I?
Yeah, yeah, you do.
Matt, you're let me just kind of put the spotlight at you. You're at a level 6 rosacea right now. How are you feeling?
You know what? I'm feeling good.
I can tell that smile's creeping up, bro.
You know what? It's what the people come here for, right? Am I right?
They
Like, you
come here for
gotta
your windswept
sometimes
hairline.
sometimes you gotta let things roll, you know? And you know what is funny about it is, let's talk about something meaningful. It's called authenticity, right? You know, what's so cool about this is I went through, I'm gonna be really transparent here for a second. So I've been a guy who's been up and to the right. So I was a guy who, talk about winning. I won a lot. I built a company, $30 million in revenue, 200 employees. We bought 5 companies. Had an investor who sold his company for $7.8 billion. Just killing it. And you know, I drove a BMW M5, 670 horsepower, way too fast. And I came down with anxiety that was debilitating. I got diabetes. I was in a position where I literally could not leave the house. I was afraid that my throat was going to swell shut and I was not going to be able to drive across town. And I never ever was out of control before in my entire life. And actually, my wife's over here on the other side of the room looking at me. And I was faced with my humanity. And it was a situation that I never felt so much fear in my life. And of course, then COVID, all this stuff happened. And I had a guy who really cared about me who said, "Hey, I want to talk to you." And he said, "How you doing?" I said, "I'm not doing well at all." And you know, I was just fearful, man. And I'd never ever been struck by fear. And I was always the guy who was just, I mean, literally killing it. I was just, you know, grabbing the bull by the horns and making it happen. And here I was, weak. You know, I'm like crying in the doctor's office going, I don't know what's going on. And when you get yourself in that position and you find yourself so weak, you just go, you know, I don't know what to do. And it's one of those things that I kind of jokingly say I don't trust people who haven't gone through tragedy or haven't gone through suffering. But this guy that I was on the call with, he said, "How are your kids doing?" I said, "Yeah, they're doing good." "How's your wife doing? How's your marriage doing?" I said, "Yeah, it's going well." He goes, "You don't have problems." And I was like, "What? I don't have problems?" And he said, "You know what? You're going to get through this and you're going to be better on the other side because you're going to learn something from it." And that is the 100% truth. But if it wasn't for the things that are happening, Richard Hart, Hex, Pulse, all this stuff, and my faith, I couldn't make it through it. And I know that there's so many people. I mean, it's like carnage everywhere. People struggling with all kinds of things, health issues, relationship issues, all that stuff. And to me, the fact that we've got something to look forward to that doesn't have any limitations, right? We're not talking about politics. We're not talking about, you know, our division. We're talking about what we have in common. And, you know, we're talking about a bright future. And to me, you know, it's, I made it through that. And it's, I'm so thankful. And of course, you know, that's why I lift up things like giving back all the time, is that it's, you know, it's almost like you have to go through that valley in order for you to appreciate what you've got. Yeah, I've been chasing for so long, and now it's like, all right, how do we lead? And that's why I lift up you, Brandon, so much. I'm like, he's a big brother. He's watching out for us because you guys are leading by giving. And Brandon's, you know, Ballietbran is like, well, I don't want to point the finger at me. Of course you don't, because you're a good guy and you know what's up. And guys like Gerardo and Hexo and all these people. And you know, that's why I do what I do, because I know that what really matters is not Louis Vuitton and watches. It doesn't matter. And I'm not trying to hack on Richard. I'm just saying this is a special thing we have and a special time we have. So sorry for the soliloquy, but It's my channel.
The thing that you talked about, and let me just say this, Balliet, you give a lot to everybody's damn stream. All right, you empower your virtual assistants to do that, and thank you so much, man. You're hooking everybody up. All right. The second thing, Matt, like I just distill all of that into this key point that you said, and it's the hope part.
Yeah.
Why do people get up at the beginning of their day and go to work who are involved in crypto? It's because they see something in the future that they can work towards, and they see a destination. And talking to all the people that I've talked to, that's what really keeps people going. That's what's always kept people going all throughout history. You got to have a destination. And when you don't have a destination, you don't have something in the future, that's when you fall off the rails.
Yeah.
So you have to take on that responsibility. You gotta DCA your portfolio. You gotta work extra hours. You gotta do these things because you know that it's going to pay off in the end. So that's what cryptocurrency, I think, and that's what this community gives so many people out there who just regular people. You're a regular person until you're not a regular person, but you got to keep working towards it.
Yeah. Amen to that.
Yeah. Let's see here. David Lee. What's up, David? David Rarig. What's up, David Rarig? Yeah, really, Brandon. All of history is the destination. It's the destination, man. Empires have been built. Empires have fallen based on that simple concept, and just a general general message. Who was that? What was that sound?
Maddie's in the chat, man.
Maddie. Oh, what's up, Maddie?
I start talking. You know what's so funny is I start talking about anxiety, and Maddie shows up, my therapist. This is so, Maddie, if you're willing to come in on this stream, we need you, man. We need you more than ever now. Don't you guys think?
Maddie, why don't you come up in here, man?
So let me know in the chat, Maddie, if you're willing to join us. I know that, it's Saturday night and not everybody's got the time. But if you're willing to join us, we'd love to have you. So
Matt, go get another drink, man. You got your drink?
Yeah, I've got my I got to pace myself now.
Oh, because of the shame that you felt last Sunday?
No, I didn't feel shame at all. I was fine. I just yeah. What's funny is you give me I rewatched that stream. It was not bad.
I know.
I was just being transparent, right?
Now,
it's a great
I think Balliet has it right. It's one part wine to 2 parts water, right?
That's right. That's it. You got to stay hydrated.
He's
you got to
smart.
stay hydrated. Okay. All right. Maddie's going to come in. Okay. This is about to get good. Oh my gosh. We got ourselves. This is going to get big. All right.
Maybe
we got
Maddie
100.
can help fix me.
119 people. We're gonna blow the top off of this thing. I'm gonna send you, Maddie. I'm gonna send this in Twitter to you. Brandon, take over the stream, buddy.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls from all over the world, my name is Brandon Davis. I'm joined by the one, the man, the myth, the legend, B squared, Ballietbran. Give it up, everybody. B squared.
Hell yeah, man.
Now, if you take the square root of B squared, then you're just B, right? So we'll just call you B. I believe that's how that works. Let's see what chat's going on here. Sandy Beach still 8-point cross. Amazing discussion. We try to have some type of substance amongst all of the dumpster fires that happen on this stream. That's for sure. Who else? We got Remick. I went broke buying Hex just to motivate me to work. Hey, one of the key things about, like, you want to motivate yourself, then burn the bridge behind you. So there is no escape.
Yeah. Necessity is the mother of invention.
Say again?
Yeah.
Necessity is the mother of invention.
Dude, sometimes you just got to, when I was in the military, I had the option to sit in a building on United States soil and basically rot for 8 hours a day, cleaning and doing trainings and taking orders from idiots. Or I could volunteer myself and go see the world. And I'll never forget, I go on a deployment. I come back after about 9 or 10 months. And then I'd say about 3 or 4 weeks later, they take us all in a room. They said, we're taking volunteers for a deployment. Now, I'd only been back for about a month or two. And I said, sign me up. I'm out of here. Now, in my head, it was a weird dichotomy. On one hand, I'm saying, dude, what the heck are you doing? You don't want to go on deployment again. But on the other hand, I'm like, just go and do it. Just see what happens. Just burn the bridge behind you, raise your hand, sign your name on the dotted line, and then see what happens. And sometimes you got to do that. Sometimes you got to. Terrafin is in the house, by the way. Ramon Carrillo, ¿qué te pasa, amigo? Optimal Timeline, Mr. Dolo, Mango Junkie, Demetria. Good. Nice to see everybody.
All right. So, Brandon, what started out as a simple stream? What started out is a simple stream with a little helper, a little bear, and your little guy as well.
Your
led
victim,
us to
yeah.
Ballietbran. And, we start talking about serious stuff. And, of course, there's a disturbance in the force. And
Jedi.
the Jedi himself, the therapist himself, Matty Allen, welcome to the stream, man. It is so good to have you. What's up?
Hey, thanks for having me on, guys. It's so good to see you. What's going on?
Yeah, did your ears start ringing, man? You knew somebody needed some help. It's your spidey senses.
So I just started listening to the stream, so you're going to have to catch me up.
Well, we talked about anxiety. We talked about, all of these things that people are challenged with, just, COVID and lockdowns and all this stuff. And you must have sensed it. And so we saw you jump in. So, you're dealing with a lot of those things. You've got a lot of experience with people who are struggling. Community is such a powerful thing, and sharing what you're struggling with. What do you think about all that?
Yeah, definitely. I think, each individual is going to have their own problems that manifest in their own environment. And so, for example, no two different kinds of depression are the same, right? And even in the medical literature, you can find you only need 5 out of 9 symptoms, which makes a lot of different combinations of depression, right? Right now, a lot of people might be experiencing seasonal depression because they're not getting enough blue spectrum of light that's brought to the earth whenever the sun is closer or whatever. And so, there are different life hacks that people can use to help with anxiety, to help with depression, to help with interpersonal effectiveness. And so those are all things that I think people deserve to learn, not just in therapy, but even on YouTube.
Yeah. Dude, it's so awesome. Where are you at tonight? It looks like you're at a fun, you're having more fun than we are.
I don't know about that. I am here in Omaha, Nebraska.
Okay, you're not having that much fun.
But I did get to meet up with a fellow HEXICAN earlier, fully croissanted.
Nice.
The digital artist lives around here. And so that was really cool to see him earlier. I've been spending a lot of time today actually planning the online Hex conference.
Awesome. Tell us about the online Hex conference. And let me ask you this. Are you driving the car powered by 1.21 gigawatts or not?
That car is it's out of commission for about a week or two while DeLorean Midwest is fixing, the flux capacitor. And it'll be back up and running before you know it.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, tell us about the conference. I think people need to know where they can get tickets and all about it.
Yeah. So the first part of hexconference.com is going to be hexpo.online. And that's going to be January 6th through 9th. So it's coming up here in 19 days. And we've got over 50 people who have Hex channels all scheduled. And you guys are among those who have been scheduled. And so we're really excited. It's going to be 4 full days, 6 hours each day. I just found out last night, Richard Hart has confirmed that he will be there just like he was last year.
Wow.
So that's pretty exciting. And then, of course, that'll be Hex Conference online. And then in person is in Las Vegas, March 6th through 9th. And you can get tickets to that at hexticket.com.
Okay. Are there still tickets available?
Yes.
Okay. Awesome. Well, that's incredible. I mean, so tell me, what is it like to travel around and to meet HEXICANs and to be at these meetups for people who haven't been there, Maddie?
It is absolutely amazing going to all these meetups with especially the US Road Tour. Abin and Patrick, you know, Freedom TV, they've put together something really special where they're stopping in 40 different cities all around the United States. People can see where they're at next and RSVP for these workshops that teach people about Hex for the first time, but also bring together a bunch of OGs. And it's been really enjoyable. I've gone to 5 different cities now, and each one has been filled with people who really know a lot about Hex. Like, I've been super impressed. People walk up to me and they've watched 200 hours of me on YouTube. They've watched 200 hours of Richard Hart, and they're ready to like just blow my mind with some insight that they have, right? And so we're all on the same wavelength. And so, yeah, it's really exciting to meet HEXICANs in person. The energy is off the chain.
Yeah, it's so great. That's so great. Ballietbran, have you traveled around? I know you've gone to some of these in the past. What's your experience with these meetups?
So as far as the Hex conference, or you know, the freedomtv.info thing that Maddie's talking about, I just went to the one in Seattle, but I highly recommend what Sandy is saying as well, that you know, people should be if they have any inkling, they should be making it to these things, and especially like the Hex Vegas. I mean, that was really cool to participate in last year, but to think about it this year is going to be, I think, much more like exponential on like a different scale. And like Maddie said, that it's one thing when you're tuning in behind your phone or behind the computer, things like that, but in person, it's just a you know, much more unique experience, and you know, it's just as authentic as you know, on stream. So it's really awesome.
Well, and you know, I think about what Maddie, you guys are doing, bringing together all of these experts. Now, the fact that you've invited Brandon in is a bit of a concern when it comes to expertise. However, I know you want to be inclusive of people, but the fact that, you know, if you've got friends, and anyone that's watching this, you got friends who you want to introduce to this, isn't this a great opportunity at the conference, the online conference especially, to have people get introduced? Because, you know, it's one thing to watch Richard and kind of to go, whoa, I don't know how to really take this, but to see all of these different people from different walks of life that you can relate to, isn't that, I mean, that's one of the big things that you can access with the online conference.
Absolutely. Now, actually 100% of the people who signed up to speak at the conference are going to have a chance to be on screen. And so that's really exciting to me. That's how we're able to fit so many people into such a small amount of time. You know, it seems like 4 days, 6 hours each day, it seems like that's a lot. But when we really break it down between all those people, it's, yeah, it's going to be really exciting to see everybody participate. And yeah, it's, you know, I don't think that there's anybody in the community who, you know, isn't bringing value.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this, Brandon, are you DJing Maddie's event tonight in Omaha?
Negative Ghost Rider.
For those of you who didn't know, Brandon does do some DJing. Tell us about that, Brandon. I think that's a pretty interesting part of your life.
Yeah, so I guess when I joined the military, I was trying to find a way to find a creative outlet musically, because I love music, always have. So I downloaded some software to do music production. I went down that rabbit hole before it was actually cool to do, and all the bros did it. So I learned a lot about that. I had some tracks released, and then I got into DJing, because DJing is just it's a really cool thing to be able to take music from all time periods and genres and be able to kind of mix them together and tell a story. So and it's a whole lot easier to DJ and produce music than it is to carry around a piano or a guitar or this or that. So so I've been doing it for probably DJing for about 10 years now. 12 years.
Fantastic. That's cool.
It's a long time.
That's awesome. Well, Maddie and Bran, I want you guys to know, I know I've sat in some of these, I've been guests on shows and stuff like that. I appreciate you guys being here. I certainly don't want to keep you. You're welcome to be here. We're going to be going till 4 a.m. So you're welcome to stay with us the whole time, but I don't want you to feel like you have to. I just really appreciate your contribution. And, It's so great. You guys are just powerhouses. The fact that you guys are on the road. I mean, I've traveled, and boy, it's not easy going city to city, and the effort that people are making for the road show and these meetups. I mean, it's got to wear on you after a while, but people are just doing it, and they don't have to, right, Maddie? They don't have to do this.
That's right. Yeah, this is really an altruistic movement, which is part of what is so inspirational about it as well.
Yeah.
I got my dinner here getting cold, so I'm going to eat it. And then I'd love to join you guys again once I have better lighting.
Yeah, feel free. I'll see you in the green room, man. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thanks.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Awesome. Great. That's so great. This is such a great format. I think about, in the past, the, entertainment that you would watch is all super produced. And the fact that we can just bring in people from Omaha, Nebraska. I mean, come on. And I mean, and what, Western Virginia with a mullet?
Dude, no mullet. No mullet on here.
Oh my gosh.
And I gotta clarify this because there's been some rumors spreading. I have no male pattern baldness. I've got
that is true. Okay. That is true.
And
I think Worldwide is the one that started that.
Yeah, we're good. We're good, guys.
That's impressive, dude. Thank you. Right. Bird's eye view. We got 108 people on the stream. Ballietbran, do you have any thoughts about PulseX, right? We got a new DEX. We're going to get to real content here. What do you think about this change, right? We've got, obviously, we talked about PulseSwap for so long, and now we've got PulseX, which is kind of like SpaceX. What are your thoughts on, because this is going to include a bridge too, right? That's my sense of it. What are your thoughts?
I'll be honest. I don't know all of the details, but I think that that's exciting because it goes to show you how much is being implemented on a continual basis. Richard's mentioned, I think in one of the London interviews that he was really spending a lot of time working on the game theory and the tokenomics of it. And I know that there is a PulseX Telegram group. And already, I mean, they're over like 10,000, I think like over 10,000 members, which is really exciting. And the fact that Richard went from, like when I was initially following him, it was like hardcore Bitcoin maximalist. Everything else sucks, not really, taking into consideration the few gems that kind of existed. But now Richard is updating his worldview, adapting with the rest of the market that has already kind of done so. And I think it's awesome to see that instead of people, because they're already going to invest in those other projects, right? But if Richard is taking some of those similar designs, but then improving the game theory and the mechanics of it, well, then most likely they're going to pivot over there because the changes that he's made in the past have just been much more monumental than what has existed before.
No, you're totally right. The thing that's interesting to me, and I'm gonna go out on a limb here with this one. When I saw Richard's face when he was talking to Hexo about in that interview that he did with him, and I just saw on his face how excited he was with the yield farming, right? This idea of having the other side of the pair. And for those of you who don't know about Uniswap V2, is this idea you have to put up in the pair both sides of the value in order to create so that the automated market maker can actually use those two pairs to do the transactions. And for him I could just see on his face, he's like, this is the greatest yield farming opportunity that has ever been presented because half of the V2 pair is free. And when you think about that, one of the big issues with providing liquidity is this impermanent loss concept and this risk that you take when you provide liquidity. And here's Richard saying, look at this. You got half of it. All these people can bridge over this value over from ETH, join the PulseChain, and can make this new LP token, which we don't know the name of it, right? There's no name that's been told to us about what the LP token's name is. Is that right, Bran?
Yeah, we don't know.
Okay. I say Brandon. I'm like, which one is it? Is it that Brandon or that Brandon? I need to call you, what is it, Jordy?
Jordy LaForge, baby.
Jordy LaForge. That's right.
Or just call me Rags like everybody else.
All right, I'll call you Rags.
All right.
All right. What do you think, Brand? I mean, this is what I pay attention to Richard. I really do. I look at his eyes and he's like, dude, this is big. And, you know, bringing all these people over, I think there's going to be some whales that come in with big, big bags of other ERC20s. And they're like, why in the world wouldn't I just bridge over and provide value and just literally free money, right? I'm going to get this LP token. I'm going to be, and that, the thing that just sits in the back of my mind is you have to use PLS to do transactions. That's the bottom line for me. I'm like, this is going to be epic.
Yeah, think about there's always some type of underlying notion that the people who have a lot of money for some reason don't know about Pulse. But I'll tell you this, the people who have a lot of money pay other people to figure out what's the latest and greatest, what's next. All right. So I firmly believe, apart from any news that we might see in PLS, the Pulse chat or whoever, there's people out there that are going to dump tremendous amounts of money into this project because it is a big project and they want to get in as soon as possible. They have to get in as soon as possible because it's the least amount of risk for them. So, we're going to see a lot of adoption. Word spreads fast. Just think about all the information that you get just from the circle that you have, or the circle that I have, or this. It's important. So, and we'll see it. We'll see a big thing happen there.
Any thoughts, Ballietbran?
Yeah, I mean, I would say that because when Hex first came out, Uniswap wasn't available until maybe like 2 weeks later, and the first decentralized automated market maker and kind of the idea of, once again, what crypto is meant to be about, right? Being able to hold your own keys, things like that, and not have to trust anyone, but the code is law kind of narrative. And I think it's cool that Richard's going to be taking what has worked so well with Swap and some of these other things that now provide yield farming. I think it's going to be cool to see Richard putting his own spin on it. And then also, like Richard talks about, it's kind of like Apple or some of these other companies, but instead of your user base going to the other companies for certain things, building everything within like one network. And then that way it's kind of like a closed loop, a closed system. Yeah. And that's what I see Richard doing with all of these other tokens, with PulseChain, not having to be a slave to the ETH miners, right? I think it's awesome. And really, we haven't seen anything yet. I mean, once these systems actually get enabled and launched, you're going to see a lot more exponential, like mass adoption than anything you've ever seen. And the price is just going to follow it as well.
I think we'll see stable coins too. And I think stable coins will actually be dependent upon the political climate at the time, because right now, if you paid any attention to the news in Washington, they seem to think that attacking stable coins are going to be the thing that brings down crypto, which is complete BS. But at the same time, that they're targeting that right now.
Well, they're just preparing for the digital dollar. Yeah, Elizabeth Warren is, they did get me started on that deal.
Yeah.
Well, what's cool is I talked to Hexo, and Hexo said, I was talking to Richard at lunch. And I told him, hey, you realize all that SAC money that you put into USDC is going to be copied over on the PulseChain. And he literally was like, he felt like he was the first one to share it with Richard. He's like, oh my gosh, you're right. And, you talk about this $300 to $400 million of stablecoin that's going to be copied over. And to me, Richard said this, that's probably the biggest experiment is really stablecoins in the PulseChain. Is it going to peg? Is it going to be pegged to the dollar? What's the price going to be? And this whole idea of price appreciation, or I'm sorry, price discovery, Crypto Panda says he's just going to sit back with the popcorn and watch. It is going to, there's so many things. It feels like, one of those screens that's got all these lights that are just blinking. There's so many places where this is going to have impact. To me, the biggest genius part of this is by copying over the system state, Richard has really baked in almost this requirement for your attention. Like, you have to pay attention to this. If you're somebody that's got any of these bags, you're somebody that's in one of these other coins, you're somebody that has a project, you're going to have to do something with this. And that to me means this could be one of the biggest news. And, I think we're going to see some of these big macro investment people go, you know what? We don't need ETH 2.0. We've got it. It's called the PulseChain. That's my hope and my prayer, is that people just go, we don't need ETH 2.0. We got it right now.
And Vitalik right now is just trying to buy time. If you guys watched that or read that document that he released recently, it just sounded like a lot of BS to push out the rollout all the way till probably Q2 to Q4 of next year.
Yeah, he's got so much pushback. There's so much. That's a gravy train, as I call it. I mean, when you're feeding people like that with proof of work, it's so hard to cut people off. I mean, the London fork itself caused so much disruption. The idea of them switching over to proof of stake is just so painful to people who have been eaten from this gravy train. It's ridiculous. I'm going to make a big transition here. I'm going to make a transition into recognizing those who have served. And on the stream right now, we've got ourselves a veteran. His name is Brandon Davis, the founder, the CEO of Rags to Riches Community. He is a naval serviceman. I want you to lead here because we've got a lot of people in the chat who have served. There's a lot of veterans that are in the Hex and Pulse community. Would you be the ambassador for recognizing these folks there, Brandon?
Yeah, I think that the reason that we have such a large concentration of Marine Corps vets, of Army vets, of Air Force vets, National Guard, Coast Guard. I hate to even mention Coast Guard, but there it is. So the reason that we have, I think it lines up with a lot of the values that we're taught in the military.
Yeah.
All right. We're taught to stick up for people who may not be able to stick up for themselves. We're taught to, at least in the United States, and I know there's a lot of other veterans out there from different countries. In the U.S., we're taught to uphold, a high standard, treat each other well, a lot of integrity, really focus on liberating people too. And I think that pairs very, very well with the message that we have in this community, Hex and Pulse. So, a big shout out to everybody who served. You're young and you get the opportunity to sign up and you don't really know what you're getting yourself into. And it's a really scary thing. It is the complete definition of sacrifice, because ultimately you're signing your life away for a certain period of time. So thank you to everybody who is a veteran. I was just a little weatherman in the Navy. There's a lot of folks who have served some serious time in many different theaters of operations across the world. And big shout out to everybody. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Brandon. That the fact that you're now using the instrument that you were testing the currents in the ocean with to now launch the PulseChain itself. Did you appreciate how the fact that your bathothermograph was actually filling our cups for this stream?
Dude,
did you catch that?
I think people might need a little bit of context about.
Let's provide it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Did you see that? I spent a lot of time making that thumbnail for you.
I'm curious how much time you actually spent.
It was quite a bit. I had to cut that whole image out. I really struggled with the fact that I was using the, whatever that thing that comes out of the end that pulls that copper wire down.
Yeah.
I was like, I gotta use this, but I'm like, I can't use this. It's inappropriate. And then I'm like, okay, we're just gonna fill the glass tonight with.
Do you have it? Can we put it up?
Bathothermograph. You know what's funny is I can't share. I don't know what is with this StreamYard.
Oh shoot!
You could do it. I think actually you can share it.
Did you send it to me in? Did you?
I did. I sent it to you in.
You texted to me.
Yeah, Ballietbran. Have you seen this image? So this is an image from when Brandon was 22 years old. He was on a ship and he was a weatherman, and so he was the guy that had to go out and put this instrument down, like it would literally go down depths of the ocean to determine the temperatures for currents and, you know, all the stuff as far as the ocean is concerned. And so he was the guy that had to do it. And so there's this picture. If you search for Brandon Davis Navy, you'll find it on Google Images. But I took that image out, and we harassed him on the pre-viral show. But you need to pull that up. Have you seen that?
We'll move on for now, but I'm gonna get this prepared so we can actually do that.
All right. Did you see that, Brandon?
Yeah, I did. You know, so because I watched the last stream and I didn't know what that was, but I'm actually looking at it right now, and
it's the PulseChain 3000. Oh my gosh!
Thermograph. Yeah, that thing is cool, man. You know, and like you guys mentioned too, with all of the military hexicans, it's really cool to see, right? It's awesome to see the community that has been attracted to Richard and the things that he's built. And one thing, because I wasn't, but my dad and grandpa were, you know, they served and stuff. But the cool thing about it is a lot of those people are used to doing what they said they were going to do, right? So with things like Hex, it's not like you have to stake it. You can keep it liquid. But if you choose to stake it and earn the insane yield, then all you have to do is kind of just follow along with what you committed to the smart contract. And, you know, you're going to be rewarded in the form of Hex. So I think it's awesome that there's a lot of people that have been able to, you know, exercise that kind of mentality.
Yeah, totally.
All right, I'm going to try to share this, see if it works. Share window. Yeah, share. You guys see that?
Okay, hang on. I got to add it to the stream. There we go. So yeah, this is Brandon Davis, the CEO, the founder of the Ragstoriches community. He literally is the guy. So once the V2 is done and we're ready for mainnet, they're going to call Brandon and they're going to say, "Do you have the PulseChain 3000 ready?" And you're going to pull the trigger, my friend.
Dude, somebody made the comment. They're like, "Why do you look like you're 50 in this picture?" I said, "That's a really damn good point, dude."
It's so great.
Look like a Holocaust survivor.
Well, they don't feed you well, right?
They only feed me well when there's special people on board.
Oh, is that how it works?
Pretty much peanut butter and jelly all the time. And horrible fish. Yeah.
Oh, Matty Crypto is in the chat. Just want everybody to know, Matty Crypto, a content creator. Speaking of cool military stuff, do you guys see where the U.S. Navy tested the new laser? So laser weapons now within the military. True Star Wars stuff. It's true. I mean, there's some crazy stuff. You look at, you know about Havana syndrome, the stuff where these diplomats are getting basically hit with microwaves and messing up their brains.
Low frequency, like,
is that what it is?
Yeah, I heard about microwaves, and then they've got brain damage. They got tinnitus. Yeah. It's really jacked up.
Well, do you think we need to is this the conspiracy segment of the broadcast?
I don't think it's conspiracy. I mean, it's pretty much been proven that, especially for folks in the green zone in Iraq and Baghdad, a lot of people came down with the same type of symptoms. And I think there was some intelligence to indicate that, you know, Russia and Iranians had something to do with that. I think it's pretty well documented.
Well, when you think you can attack someone from a remote location, you know, you think about snipers in the military where you're shooting something, it's got a sound, even if it's, you know, silenced, you know, you're reaching out and, you know, harming someone. This idea that something is silent and is electromagnetic and could affect your, I mean, you know, you think about disabling people from a long way away. I mean, it's a crazy time with the weapons that people are using that are electromagnetic in nature.
Did you guys hear that what Elon Musk said about robotics and AI?
Tell us.
He said that there's going to come a point in time here in the pretty near future, that robots are going to move so fast across land that you will not be able to see them unless you have a strobe light.
You're kidding.
No, look up that. That's some freaky stuff. And he talks a lot to Joe Rogan about the potential of AI and what happens there. It's going to be it would be interesting to be able to live another 200 or 300 years and kind of see be able to be like have a force field around me so I don't die for some other reason, but to see how far we're going to advance, because our technological curve at this point is pretty parabolic. Would you guys agree?
Yeah, totally. Well, I mean, Richard's going to help us live till we're like 200, right?
Yeah.
Ballietbran's like, yeah, Ballietbran's going to be the one that does it for us. What do you think about longevity research and all that stuff, Ballietbran? You know about that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, the more time with the more time having experiences and things like that, I think the better. And also, I think it's interesting the way that SENS specifically, tackles some of these diseases and things like that. And it's awesome that Richard had kind of volunteered for, I think, Methuselah or SENS either in 2004 or like 2006.
Yeah, you're right.
And he's got a very good head on his shoulders. Richard does with what he wants to do, and he's very precise with kind of how to get there. And none of it has ever been get rich quick or try and solve this thing quickly, but in fact, like the slow and steady wins the race type of deal. So it's kind of like the tortoise and the hare type of deal. And so many people have burned out and wanted to achieve some things and accomplish them, and they never did. But someone like Richard, I think, not only with himself and his resources, but the people and community that he's attracted, I think can really achieve a lot of the things that can better humanity and, let people live a little bit longer.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I do think that this is kind of the conspiracy section, but I want to share something my brother-in-law is involved in. And that is, if you guys have followed some of this anti-aging technology, so there's two competing researchers, one at MIT and one at Harvard, that have been working on what's called NAD plus. And NAD plus it's basically the building block. So if you're a brand new baby, you have all this NAD plus in your system, which is really this building blocks of helping your genetic code and your cells be healthy, right? And as we age, they call them sirtuins, and these sirtuins, they are like gumming up our receptors in our genetic code. And the idea is that the more NAD plus that you have, the better you can repair this genetic code. So gamma radiation from people who are getting on like the space shuttle and go out into Earth orbit and those type of things, they get a lot of damage because they don't have this electromagnetic field to protect them. And so their DNA, literally from these particles, are kind of tearing apart their DNA. And so these researchers were asked to help with this NASA project to figure out how do we help them. So they actually irradiated a bunch of mice. And so they had these like mice that were born at the same time. Half of them got irradiated and they looked like me, right? Gray hair and, old and shriveled. And they were actually the same exact age as these other mice. And they used a thing called NR and NMN, which are precursors to NAD+, and they basically put it in the water of these mice, and their hair became dark again. Like it literally repaired them. And this was just a precursor because the molecule of NAD+ is so big that it can't get inside of the cell. And so it's funny, my brother-in-law is actually working with a group out of London who is looking at ways in which they can bring NAD+ into the cell. And so this idea of anti-aging is they're looking at aging now as actually an ailment, more like a disease. And that if you can address this and help people return to essentially this level of NAD+ that is helping the system be like a little baby, like that your whole system is working well. And so I think a lot of the research that's happening in anti-aging, not that we would live forever. Certainly I've got a different worldview than a lot on that issue, but it's exciting to think that we're approaching an area where we can help extend life, and that has implications for financial things.
Well, it has been said that the first human to live forever could be potentially living right now.
Yeah.
Because you might have somebody who was just born the past couple years, they get to be 60 or 70 years old. Technology advances to the point where they start testing this out on humans, and that could be a thing. But I completely agree. And I think Richard talks about that too, talks about aging as a disease, because think about all the things that would be taken care of if our systems worked properly the way that they were supposed to. Like, you could eat anything you ever wanted because you'd have the metabolism of a 15-year-old. You can do all these, like, diabetes is out the door, and different types of heart conditions are out the door. Alzheimer's out the door. Parkinson's out the door. All these things that have to do with our systems breaking down and not properly taking care of these pollutants in our system, that goes away. So that's very interesting. I try to stay up to date on that type of stuff, Matt, and I've never heard of that. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's a pretty interesting field of study, and to show you how nerdy I am, but it's interesting here. Sandy Beach, it's cool when you touch on these topics, and like somebody in the chat is like, I'm a pharmacist and I'm really interested in anti-aging meds such as rapamycin, and NAD plus research is great too. So there's so many things happening right now as it relates to, one of the things I come back to is you touched on this idea of inflammation being driven by sugar and glucose. I'm diabetic and I know about these things a lot, is that processed foods, the things that we've done to our food, and that, if we actually ate the raw foods, one of the things that was interesting, when I was a kid, I got hired with a group of my buddies to take sugar cane, and we had to tear the leaves off the sugar cane plants, and we had to cut them, and they had to be stacked up because they were going to make molasses and refined sugar from them. And what's interesting is sugar in nature only exists with a ton of fiber. And so what's really fascinating is this idea of that, there's a lot of sugar in fruit, but there's a lot of fiber in fruit. And the natural way in which sugar appears is tied in with all of this fiber. And so we extract it and we do all this modification to it. And we are consuming so much of this refined sugar that has been really creating a ton of inflammation in our system. And my doctor is like, hey, literally everything that we deal with is related to inflammation, and we're just feeding it with this processed crap. And I think what's really interesting is you look at honey. People will say, well, honey is very, excuse me, is very concentrated. But because it's got pollen and everything, if you eat too much honey, you'll actually vomit. So you can't overdose on the natural form of concentrated sugar. So anyway, that's a topic. Dude, Rags, I'm gonna turn this over to you because I got to get a refill.
Yeah, get a refill. So I feel like I can talk a whole lot about this topic in terms of diet, in terms of being healthy. So for the longest time, man, I noticed as I got older, I would eat a particularly carb heavy breakfast. Okay. So I'd have, you might have a couple of pancakes, you might have a little bit of eggs, you might have a cup of orange juice and all that. And that's kind of like the standard American diet. So I noticed that I would eat that, and about 30 minutes to an hour after I'd eat that type of thing, just about every single day, I would get this weird space out feeling in my head, and I would just be like kind of detached from myself, and then it followed by a horrible crash. And this happened for years and years and years and years. And I didn't really realize why. I just thought it was like, oh, I'm just groggy, I'm sleeping, blah, 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 whatever. So I started doing some research, and I went into a phase where I'm willing to try anything to feel better, because it really started to affect me. It started to affect my energy levels. I remembered how it felt to be a teenager and not have any of these issues. So I knew that there was an answer out there for this. The first thing I did, I contacted one of my friends who was like a registered dietitian, and she was a vegetarian type person. I said, all right, give me a vegetarian plan. So I said, I'm going to stick to it. I'm going to stick to it for like 15 weeks, 20 weeks. I stick to it, and I find that every single day that horrible feeling that I have actually got worse. And I'm like, how could this be? Cut out all the junk, cut out all the sugar, cut out all that. And I actually felt worse. And at the end of the 15 weeks, it was to the point where I was like, I can't do this. Like, I got depressed. Like, I'm eating perfectly. I feel, I'm supposed to be feeling great right now. got depressed, this and that. And I researched again, and I ran across Dr. Sean Baker. Dr. Sean Baker was an orthopedic surgeon. And he was actually a pretty high performing athlete, big guy, 6'8", 275 pounds. Maybe not 6'8", maybe 6'4". So he, as an orthopedic surgeon, he saw people come into his practice all the time, and he saw their joints, they're old, they're deteriorating, they had horrible diets, this and that. And what he would do is just replace their joints with metal. Okay, so that was the business practice. He comes across something called the carnivore diet. And the carnivore diet is cutting out all carbohydrates, zero carbohydrates a day, except what's in the meat naturally between the cartilage, etc. And he said that he would have people who had completely destroyed joints. He would come in, and instead of doing surgery right away and replacing these joints, he would put them on this carnivore diet for 8 weeks, 12 weeks. They would come back in, and their joints would be completely repaired on their own. So I said, what in the hell are they talking about? Everything that I've ever heard about eating any type of meat or any type of eggs or anything like that is just complete taboo. What about all the fats? What about all the things that are going to stop your heart, this and that? I started doing more research, and I suggest you guys, if you guys are interested in this, do your research on this too. But I said, I want to give this a shot. I would say after I got through the initial 10 to 14 days of not having any carbs, your body is just so used to it. You have bacteria in your stomach that are used to eating those carbs. They grow because they have access to that. And as they're dying, they're signaling your body to give you carbs. It's a horrible process. But once you punch through that sound barrier, it's like I took the limitless pill.
Yeah.
It's like cutting out carbohydrates, cutting out all sugar. It's like I took the limitless pill. My mind got sharper. My energy levels were the exact same from the moment I woke up to the time I went to bed. And when I went to bed, my brain says, okay, it's time to turn off now. Completely turn off. I gained muscle without working out at all. I lost tremendous amounts of fat. It was just complete. I just could not believe it. So then I was like, okay, I got to do blood work now. So I did blood work before, and I did blood work after. Now, the big thing about carnivore people, it's like the sugar is actually causing these huge buildups and lipids, et cetera, in your blood. And there's different types of lipids in your blood that cause problems. And you want the nice fluffy type lipids. And those lipids occur when you do eat animal meat, et cetera. But the problem is if you eat processed carbohydrates, those thick, heavy ones, those are the problem causers. So I ended up eating pretty much steak, salt, and water for 30 days straight. I just did that initially, and then I added eggs. At this point, I probably eat about 8 eggs. 8 eggs, dude, a day. I eat steak, and it's just been incredible. I'm part of this group called Zeroing In on Health, and every word that I say now, I've got David in the back of my head right now.
Oh my gosh, I love. We got when there's a time for a transition. Yeah, I just can imagine you in the restroom. That's all I'm thinking about. Oh my gosh.
Oh no, it is like a South American mudslide for the first 14 days, but after that, you're good, man. Well, I'm telling you, it changed everything for me, dude. Everything.
And not financial advice and not health advice here. He may have been a meteorologist, but he's not a medical doctor. But I appreciate the testimony because when I realized I had diabetes, I mean, I had to go no carb. I mean, it's the only way I could manage my blood sugar, and it was very similar to what you're talking about.
Let me make this point too. When you cut out when I added sugar back in after not being on sugar, I noticed an impending feeling of fear and doom and depression come upon me when I started eating sugar again, dude.
Yeah.
It was really bad. I was like, has this been doing this to me the whole time? I was just so used to it before that I didn't realize. I think sugar is freaking dangerous for people, man.
Oh yeah.
Horribly dangerous.
Sandy
Horribly.
calls it the carb flu. I would agree. It makes you feel terrible.
Dude, I don't ever want to go back to it, man. Don't ever want to.
Ballietbran, you've been quiet. You have any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree. And I think as far as what you mentioned, consistency with anything, but especially when you realize kind of those things that aren't benefiting you and instead are, slowly killing you, or rather quickly killing you. You just don't really realize it. But that's awesome, and it's cool how many people of such vast knowledge there is, and I think that we can all kind of learn from each other. I'm actually going to have to wrap up in just a second too, and kind of return someone's call and kind of get ready for the stream tomorrow. But
dude,
I mean, what you're doing, Crypto Heartbeat, and same thing with you, Brandon, with Rags to Riches. I think it's very inspiring. No, but it's very inspiring, and it's just really exciting to see once again, like what's going to happen in the future, and kind of people like both of you guys when you first came onto the scene. It's like, awesome, man, this is kind of a niche or a niche that wasn't there before, and it kind of evolves the community even more and brings more people into it in their own way. So I'm excited for all of the other people that get attracted from the work that you guys do and things like that.
I love the chat. You know what's funny is this is how we remain totally transparent, is people just call us out like crazy. They're like, Brand's sitting there with these old men talking about their health problems, and he's like, I need to take a call. Ballietbran, you're the future. You're the man. Thank you for all you do. Thank you for all the support. Thank you for paying the bots. Thank you for being the man who takes care of your grandfather. Thanks for being the guy who's leading the way. Thank you for joining our stream. You saved me on my 555 stream, and you saved me here. So thank you so much for joining, man. Have a great night.
Be good, brother.
Hey, you too, guys. Thanks for the invite. See you next time.
You bet. Peace on you. See you, man.
Peace.